Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Now the one thing you might be wondering is, why are you uploading so early? I've uploaded early before. If I forget to film at night, I forget to film, and I don't really feel like filming at 10 o'clock at night. I'll get up at like 7 or 6 in the 6:30 in the morning and film. And in the summer when I was working, I would film early, like around like 9 or 10 before I actually end up going to work. And because it's Friday and I have no school, I should probably film early this morning because I have lots of stuff going on this afternoon. So yeah, this is going to be a fan fiction video about How to Train Your Dragon, and this video actually didn't come to me to about, I want to say when I was doing either Little House or Little House on the Prairie or Road to Avon Lake. It might have been Heartland Week, so like last month's videos, pretty much. Or the last, like, Heartland Week that I did, which was end of March. And I was just walking around my school, and I'm like, what if, because I've seen people do, they, like, take, like, characters that are, like, teenagers in movies, and they put them into the modern world. They're like, they go to high school now, and they make up a high school. So then I'm like, but what if the How to Train Your Dragon characters went to my high school? Now, of course, they were 15 in 2010. I was 6. That's highly unlikely. But based on the rules of fanfiction, we can make them those ages, like, because my high school is grade 7 to 12, so we can make them, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and put them in high school today, where I am currently actually in my grade 11 year, so my sophomore year of high school, and my sister's in her senior year of junior high. So, and then I got thinking, like, okay, because How to Train Your Dragon doesn't take place in a modern world, we have to make some changes. Either we have dragons in the modern world, which would be totally amazing and awesome and cool, or two, they don't actually have dragons, and the dragons are like horses or dogs or cars or something. I eventually decided, I'm going to having dragons in the Armon will be really cool, but it would also be a bit of a hazard, with cars and guns and all the other techie stuff we have. So it probably would be more safer to make them horses or dogs or cats or something. Now, of course, we come to the names. So there are some names that I have never even heard of before in my life that I knew of, but the How to Train a Dragon names, those are not something you would probably hear in the manga. The only ones that actually have real names are Astrid and Heather. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to change everyone's name. So I went along and I did that. So if they went to my high school, so then I thought, if they went to my high school, what would their, reputation be at school? Would they be in any sports or clubs? What classes would we be taking? Because my school is divided up. We have the -1 courses in senior high, which are, kids that do really well and excel in school and need to take the high courses. And then we have the lower courses for people that, just don't quite grasp and understand what they're trying to be taught, or they have a learning disability and need to have the lower classes they can understand it, and they're still learning what they need to graduate. They're just learning in their way that they can understand it. So would they be taking the higher classes? Would they take the lower classes? And would I hang out with them? An obvious question is, of course I would. My sister would too, especially for her, because she's having some friend issues, so that would be so great for her to have more than just one friend right now. Of course, the idea is my friends don't understand. If I was hanging out with my friends, would be like, oh yeah, your How to Train Your Dragon obsession, right? Yeah, they wouldn't understand. But anyway, without further ado, this is How to Train Your Dragon, if it was in my high school. We will start with Hiccup Haddock. Now, Haddock is a last name. I think I've seen it. It's not really that common, but it's not that uncommon. Now, of course, Hiccup, not really the best name for a kid. So I decided, I need to come up with a name, and I saw something on Wattpad that his name was Hayden, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go differently. Apparently Hiccup in French is Harold, so there we go. We are going to name him Harold. Harold Haddock. Now, we know Hiccup as very, very, very smart, so he would obviously be in all the Dash 1 courses. He probably would be taking all 3 sciences, physics, chemistry, biology. He probably would take math. Next year he probably would take math 31, which is your calculus. He would be in all the top classes. Of course, I feel like his dad would either be like principal or mayor of our town. Principal of the school or mayor of the town. He's like, still has that, he like has to be like his dad. I feel like his dad would put him on like the football team or basketball team so he could fit in with others, but he's really not good at it. Because Hiccup, based on the way he was in the books, he's not really that athletic. I don't think he is in the movies either, so yeah. As for clubs, I don't think he would be in any of the clubs we have. He wouldn't find any of those interesting, I don't think. But yeah, so he would be like in all the top courses. He probably would. I'm not saying he's a genius, but he's not a genius. He wouldn't like graduate when he was 13, which actually did happen in my school. Someone who was 13 graduated, and like, yeah. But he probably would take some grade 12 courses this year, and would have taken some grade 11 courses in grade 10. He would have done all that. Now we come to Astrid. Because Astrid is a real name, I'm not going to change her name. Hofferson, I am not going to change that because that is a very Norwegian name, and we have some really interesting last names, so I'm not going to change that. As for Astrid, based on the one episode that was in ever since I started playing Rise of Berg, I always get the video game confused with the TV show Rise of Berg. In the episode Picture of Hiccup as a Buff Young Man, they were looking for a pure metal, and Snot and Loader Fish Legs went on going about iron. The Nash was like, but iron isn't pure, take the gold. Iron is on the periodic table, and if you know the differences of matter, matter is divided up into pure substances and mixtures. Pure substances consist of elements and compounds, and iron is on the periodic table, so therefore it is a pure substance. Which means I feel like Astrid in science wouldn't, because she's smart enough that she could take the Dash 1 courses, but because of her knowledge of science, I feel like science wouldn't really be the best thing for her. She would be like one of those people that would get like 70s and was just able to get into Dash 1 courses. And I feel like as trouble, she would, because based on her personality, I feel like she would have detentions, not every day, but like, every once in a while, because she's like, fighting with Snotblout or talking back to a teacher or something. Yeah, I mean, I have never gotten a detention. My friends have, but that was, and I did the same thing as them, and I didn't get attention, so I'm confused with that. I also feel like because Astrid, as we see her in the first movie, she's always trying to, keep up with the guys and be better than the guys. And because the football coaches, Mr. Rasmussen and Mr. Hatch, allow girls on the football team, I feel like she would be on the football team. And because we have a female basketball team, she'd be on that. I don't think she'd go out for volleyball. She doesn't seem like the volleyball type. And now we come to Fish Legs, or I'll call him Felix Ingerman. Fish Legs would be like me, good student, never late, and if he is, it's for a very, really, really reason that he's barely ever late. He'd be like me, always quiet in class. He would get 90s and 95s to 100s in every single one of his tests because of how smart he is. But he'd also be like me and be, unless he's around his friends, very, very, very timid and very quiet. So, yeah, pretty much me at school. Of course, he would do make sure he doesn't ever get in trouble. I have never had attention, but that doesn't say I haven't been in trouble. Like, I've been, like, doing something that maybe I shouldn't, and they're like, okay, can you not do that? Then I'm like, okay. So that's probably what he would be. Actually, he would make sure he never did that. So he's like, I have been called a good. I'm not really a good hostess, but like I do try to do what's right and people know it. So I feel like Fish Legs is like me, but more like he tries to never get in trouble and everything like that. Now we come to Snopout. We will call him Sebastian because honestly, based on his personality, I want to kind of find a name that fits his personality, so Sebastian it is. Snopout would be a person who purposely arrives late for class, purposely disrupts the class, purposely doesn't do his schoolwork, and purposely would end up in detention. He's one of those kids where no matter how many attentions it is, doesn't really change his behavior. Of course, he also would be on the football team, would be like the jock, and he like acts smart and everything, but he's really super dumb because, let's be honest, Snopout really is the dumbest out of all of them. And of course, if me and my sister were hanging out with them, that means that he had more girls to flirt at, but my sister would definitely punch him. We never see Astrid and Heather actually hit him. My sister actually no, she said she wouldn't hit him. She said she would want to, but she never would. My sister's like that. But yeah, he would be like the ones who's like, he's on the basketball team, he's on the football team, he's on the hockey team. But he always is like playing jokes on people, is always getting in trouble, always is in detention, never does his homework, never does his schoolwork, pretty much is failing his classes, but somehow still manages to get into the higher classes. And yeah, his reputation would be the bad boy, which he pretty much is in How to Train Your Dragon. Now we come to the twins. I will call them Theodore and Rebecca because I'm thinking Thorsten isn't really a name they'd have in a modern. I'll change it to Thornton because that's pretty close. These are the kind of kids where you're like, they arrive late to class, they goof around, doesn't seem like they're listening to anything the teacher says, and like they'll never get anywhere, and yet they somehow manage to have 90s in all their classes. Because, you know, with the twins, like, when we meet them, we feel like, okay, they don't really know anything, they're quite stupid. But yet, in Race to the Edge, they're talking about symbiotic relationships, they're talking about Tough Nut knows multiple languages, they know all these random facts that you would know in school sometimes, and it's like, how do you know this? You never pay attention to anything. So they're like the kids that would like, all the teachers, all the students, everyone's like, oh, they'll never amount to anything. They'll be the people that are working at McDonald's for the rest of their life. Or picking up good trash. But yet they actually have like 90s in all their classes. And it's funny because they goof around. They don't pay attention. It's like they'll never ever learn anything. But yet they somehow manage to have 90s in all their classes. Now we come to Heather. And because she doesn't actually really have a last name, but because Daggers is the deranged, it's Derringer. Heather Derringer. Because that's the last name. Heather, I feel like, is the kind of person who's kind of a mix between Hiccup and Astrid. You know, like she has all the smart classes, you know, all the higher... I say smart classes. You don't have to be smart to be in the -1 classes. You don't have to be dumb to be in the -2 classes. You are just, it's just, you know, like, everyone is smart in their own way. Some people are more smarter than others. So she would be in the higher classes because of how well she knows things. And she'd also be the fine arts person. She'd be the person that'd be, like, in band, in choir, drama, foods. Or I feel like Hiccup would be, like, you know, construction, registered apprenticeship program, mechanics, welding. Astrid would be like, what options would Astrid take? I don't think Astrid would take any of the options we have at school, to be honest. And then we come to Dagger, and I'll call him David Derringer. I feel like David would be bully the garbage section. He would start out like moving to a new town, doesn't really know anyone. He would start bullying people, bullying Hiccup because we see him do that quite a lot, bullying Astrid, all those guys. But then he'd like suddenly has a change of heart, so he doesn't really bully them anymore, and he kind of hangs out with them. And then or Aaron, I guess. Erickson, I guess. I feel like he'd be a high school dropout because he was, bullied and picked on. It was just too much for him, but he couldn't really cope, so he's like, you know what, I'm done with school. So, yeah, this kind of gets a glimpse into my school life, and how I feel about how to treat characters if they were in school. So, but yeah, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for tomorrow. Very special video, very special announcement. I will see you tomorrow.